Hey, hello, wait, stop, come visit with me. We are in Gemini season after all, and it's time to connect and socialize. So I'm Victoria on the Soul Nurture channel, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new moon in Gemini happening on June 6th at 5:38 a.m. Pacific time. So adjust accordingly wherever you are. And of course, I'm going to be talking about in generalities, and you're going to need to go look at your natal chart and see where 16 degrees of Gemini is. That's where this new moon is bringing new possibilities to that area of your life. Okay? So thanks for being with me. And if this is your first time, please do consider subscribing, watch some of my other videos, get a sense of what I'm doing. I say I speak soul, which is what I do. I'm a soul guide. I'm a soul nurturer. And what does that mean? I do transformational hypnotherapy. I'm a Jungian-based spiritual director. All the tools I've just gathered on my journey of my own spiritual unfolding, but with a huge desire to be of support to others. And so I have quite a lot of goodies in my basket of transformational tools. And astrology is a symbolic language I've learned to speak because I think it's guidance from Creator. And I think of it, it's just like the weather. I've learned to speak astrological weather, or to kind of get a sense what might be going on so that we could all move through, especially during these transformational times, with greater awareness and engaging in our inner work for the highest possibility of healing individually and collectively. So that's what I'm about. Mostly my mission is to help each person reclaim their beautiful, unique soul potential, nurture that into your highest possibilities and potential. Okay? If you're interested in working with me, go to the description, and I have my website there, victoriajazzard.com. But thank you for joining me on YouTube today. And tell me where you're viewing from. I'm always curious about that. As I do my intro, I'm going to be dropping some Gemini archetypal traits. I'm curious where you're viewing from. And I'm going to be talking about the new moon, and it's all about change, and it's connected to communication. And I'm calling it, the title I've come up with, and I think of astrology as like dream work. I'm a dream worker. I love diving into dreams with my clients, and I definitely consider it part of my spiritual practice every day. And with dream work, we're looking at like sort of the archetypal expressions of what's going on with the players in our dreams. And one of the things we do when we're working dreams is we give a spontaneous, another Gemini word, spontaneous title to the dream. The spontaneous title kind of drops us deeper into the symbolic expression of the dream. And the same here with astrology. I think of it as, well, our awake dream, our collective dreaming that we do for our transformational cycles, for our unfolding to the highest potential, for ourselves and the world we share. Okay, so my spontaneous title at this moment for this new moon in Gemini, and it may change as I unfold what this feels like for me. And I call myself an intuitive astrologer too, because it's more like I bounce off the chart and some things come. And so I never know what's going to come, but I do know this spontaneous title came, and that is, what's your love story? Like, what did you learn from your family of origin about love? And what do you need to unlearn in order to create a new love story? All right, so welcome, and to my regular viewers and those of you who comment and send me emails, I love you, thank you, appreciate you. Okay, so remember also, where is this happening in your chart? At 16 degrees. That's where you're going to go and see what changes you need to make to fulfill the potential for you in that area of your life. We have a focus on communication, social connections, learning new ways of being. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more, but first I want to talk about in general where the planets are right now. How are you feeling in this Gemini season? What are you noticing about your energy, your interactions with others, your own thought process? Well, we have a lot of Gemini stimulating our minds, helping us, maybe overloading us with so much to think about, so much to consider. And so we have, on the new moon, we have sun and moon, 16 degrees of Gemini. And so what a new moon is when the sun and the moon come together in conjunction, and we get to borrow the energy where the moon is, especially our emotional expression in Gemini, but for both of them coming together. So we get this yin and yang. We get the emotional, reflective moon that guides our intuition, that, borrowing the energy of Gemini that's going to help us see new possibilities through curiosity. And then the sun is like the vitality, the ego, where the energy goes, where, so I'm getting a little frog in my throat right now. I need to talk, throat. Let's do this. Okay. I'm not going to edit. I'm going to keep going. Okay. So these two are hugging it out in the sky. And we think of new moons as the beginning of the lunation cycle, where we set intention, where we get this sort of fresh energy to work with, and a fresh perspective, a fresh focus. Where do we want to focus? And we borrow this energy of Gemini. We're all honorary Geminis when the moon is in Gemini, right? So also, though, Mercury is in Gemini, Venus is in Gemini, Mars is in Aries, about to go into Taurus on, I think, June 8th. And then we have Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, you feeling the theme here? Look at all this Gemini. This is what we call a stellium, a potent coming together of the archetypal expression of Gemini. Okay, so right now, all these planets that I just touched on are in a certain house in your chart. So that's really lit up for you right now. There's a lot of focus there. And so with Jupiter in the picture, it's like expanding that area in your life, expanding it. And Jupiter expansion doesn't necessarily always mean good. Notoriously, Gemini, Jupiter is connected to blessings, and it's a benevolent, and it's full of we think of, oh, it's such a lucky thing, but it expands. I've got this little friend flying in front of me. Distractions. This is Gemini energy. Are you feeling distracted? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Is your mind just full of ideas? That's Gemini. So I'm going to talk about how to manage that, right? It's kind of like we all get to feel a little ADHD right now too, because everything is getting our attention and is interesting. So, and we get distracted easily, like I just did. So Jupiter, wherever that's transiting in your chart right now, because it just went into Gemini, out of Taurus into Gemini. Where is that in your chart too? That area is going to be expanded, amplified. If you've been doing your work, some blessings could come, or it could show you where you need to do more inner work in order to claim your blessings. Okay. Then we have Saturn in Pisces, and Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius. Okay, so for those of you who follow along and are, learning astrology, know astrology, but these are the players, these are the characters in our story of the astrological weather, what's happening, right? So let me go back to my little story that came to mind. And the reason I'm saying story, I've got a little fruit fly wanting to distract me. Think about Gemini season as having 1,000 fruit flies in your mind. And I'm going to talk to you about how to manage all that. Okay, so let's talk about the Gemini archetype. I did this a little bit for the full moon in Sagittarius, but it's still Gemini season, and this is the focus is all Gemini right now. So again, to my Gemini soul friends out there, happy season. Happy, I used to take the birthday month. I'm November 7th, and I take all of November. But I say take the whole season, right? So from the beginning of Gemini season till the end, it's your time. It's your power time, okay? So I like to think in terms of, if you watch my videos, I say we're either in our wounded selves or our empowered selves. Or really activated in our soul potential or in our human limitations, right? Well, when we look at a sign, we are looking at the variations of the sign. So we could say, I'd like to say the empowered traits of Gemini, and then maybe the shadow side of Gemini. So remember, we all have shadow. We all have things we've suppressed, denied, felt shame around, or don't lead with. And also remember that what I'm describing, we all have this somewhere in our house system, and we're all expressions of the oneness, right? So I'm not singling out, but Gemini suns and Gemini risings in particular, you're going to relate to this, and Gemini moons too. So Gemini traits. Okay, curious, yeah. Adaptable, flexible. Geminis are super intelligent, and they're really funny. They're very, very, very witty. They are kind of like social butterflies. They know everyone. They're like networkers too. They know everyone, and they know about everything about everyone, and that gets us almost into the shadow side, which I'll get to in a moment. They're clever. They're super charming. They value communication, and they're excited about new things and experiences. So again, this is kind of like what we're going to be feeling right now. We're going to feel a little bit more like ready to make the changes, adaptable, especially for fixed signs. We're going to move out of our own way, and feel maybe more desire to connect with others and socialize more, and have a good time and laugh and be playful and try new things, which is what we think about with the new moon in general, right? It's the start of the lunation cycle, fresh beginning. This is where we implement intention and a desire to grow that potential that's going to fulfill whatever we're intending to do, right? So they're great storytellers, loquacious, another word, chatty. Great storytellers, teachers, comedians, and researchers. So here's now when we're disempowered and we're in our wounded self, then this is how it comes through us. The shadow side of Gemini. Restless, gossipy, moody, could be two-faced. Remember, Gemini is the symbol is the twins, right? And it's an air sign, a mutable air sign. So there's this, quick shifting, right? So therefore it can feel like untrustworthy energy and indecisive and unreliable and unstable, or inconsistent. Like, I thought you said we were doing this. Nope, I said we're doing this. Well, that's Gemini and the quick shift, quick changeability, which can be moody. Like if they are bogged down with all the information they're taking in, they can get moody and temperamental. And the other two things I noted here can be superficial and can be manipulative. So when would that happen? When Gemini isn't getting their needs met. The need of fluid communication, the need for changing things up, and kind of, the axis of Gemini it's Gemini and Sagittarius, and similar to Sagittarius, a freedom of expression, being able to say whatever they want to say and need to say, and they love to learn and grow. So when we're in the shadow, it's when we're suppressing anything that, like, the desires, our needs, and then it comes out kind of like wonky, right? It comes out sort of like disempowered energy. Okay, so if you're a Gemini, and I'd love to know what traits you love about being a Gemini, and how is this Gemini season feeling for you? And especially with Jupiter and Gemini now, this is going to be a great year for you, Gemini friends. Okay, so let's go back to the exploration of this story, some of the things that this new moon feels like for me, with Venus right there with the sun and the moon. Venus joining the story. Venus is the planet of love. It's what we value. It's our resources. It's our sense of self-worth. And connected to this new moon, it's like bringing fresh ideas, fresh perspective, getting out of the limitations of this is how it always is, to how else can it be, getting out of either or, it's just this or that, or black or white thinking, to there's a plethora of ideas here that can help us, right? Connected to how we love, who we love, relationships, our love story, as I mentioned, and how we communicate in relationships. Really, really key. how we may be denying the desires of our heart with Venus there, and knowing there's got to be a new way. And you're so, here's the thing, and I always say this to my clients anyway: be curious about what you can do different. Well, this is really the focus. Every area in your life, wherever this is falling in your house system, first house, what can you do differently in terms of your identity, and mix it up a little bit. You might get a new haircut. You might just completely free yourself to be your unique self and share about things that are interesting to you. Second house, you're going to change up how you manage your money, perhaps. Maybe you're going to invest in unique ways, right? I didn't mean to go into the wheels, but since I'm doing this, I might as well finish up the houses. Spontaneous Gemini wants this to happen. If it's happening in your third house, you're invited to really take a fresh look at how you communicate. Learn some new skills to better your communication. I highly recommend NVC, or it's now called Compassionate Communication by Marshall Rosenberg, and excellent template to help us communicate better. This is for everyone in general for this new moon, but in particular, if it's falling in your third house. If it's happening in your fourth house, you're wanting to, maybe socialize more from home. You want to have some parties. You want to, put on a fresh coat of paint that's more playful and fun. You want to just mix it up and make it more enjoyable in your home. Fifth house, I might as well look at the chart. This is so just spontaneous happening now. Okay. If it's happening in your fifth house, which is where it's happening for me, this is your creative expression. This is finding your voice and speaking your truth. This is writing and singing and dancing and being playful with this expression. So the new moon happening in your fifth house is an invitation to do something different with creativity. Okay. Sixth house is about your day-to-day routine, and also health and where we're in service to others. So if it's falling in your sixth house, you may be feeling like you're bored with your routine, and it's been my word has been rutty. Like you're in a rut, and it's like you need some fresh ideas to mix up your daily routine that meets your health needs. Okay, so maybe you take a new class, a dance class, or a different kind of yoga that really feels fresh and exciting. Okay. If it's happening in the seventh house, this new moon in the seventh house with Venus, there is a big focus on relationship for you, my friends. What fresh perspective, what new way can you look at your relationship and decide to learn the skills needed to have a healthy relationship? Like I was saying, compassionate communication, NVC, tools like that to really help you connect in a way with your partner, or take a class together with your partner, because Gemini energy gets, let's say the libido gets stimulated through the mind. So you may take a class together with your partner. If it's happening in your eighth house, the focus of new beginnings and intention and awareness is and other people's resources. It's a house of transformation too. So transforming how you're connected with others, and like maybe you've been dependent on somebody else financially, and you're trying to be creative about how you can get a little bit more free in your own financial situation. And also, where do you need to transform, and what areas do you need to transform? So you may be wanting to get into work with a transformational coach like me. Shameless plug right there. But you're curious about what you can do to really shed old ways and emerge into the butterfly potential, right? If it's happening in your ninth house, boy, this is like curiosity amplified. The ninth house is all about higher education and travel. So you may be really excited about expanding your education or traveling, going to a foreign country, learning about different cultures. But really, this is about really questioning what you believe, okay? And shifting out of stuck, limited beliefs, moving out of fear, which I'm going to talk about in general for everyone, moving out of fear, limited view to an expanded view of possibilities. Okay, if this is happening in your 10th house, I'm just laughing because I did not intend to do this, but go look at your chart. Where is this happening? So if it's in your 10th house, spotlight is on career, what you contribute, what you're publicly known for. So this is a real blessing. The sun, the moon, and Venus in your 10th house is, can bring some financial blessings with work, like an unexpected bonus or being seen for what you do, feeling valued at work, and also being invited to maybe contribute some new ideas to a project or to your company. Okay, 11th house, and I can do this for you more in detail if you want to book a session with me, but I'm just quickly going through 11th house of this new moon is happening in the 11th house for you. This is all about, more connection to friends and socializing and getting out and about and joining groups, being part of community more in new stimulating ways. You may join a book club. You may join a group that of like souls, like-minded and like connected at a soul level, but mostly like-minded communication that stimulates you and lets you feel like you really belong, right? This is a good opportunity for that. And so if it is happening in your 12th house, this is the last house, if it's happening in your 12th house, this is a time to really communicate with the divine, to find time to start a new commitment to meditation, to following your spiritual pursuits, to taking more time about reflection about what do you believe and what's calling to you on a spiritual path that may change you out of an old way of being and allow you to emerge into a more authentic expression of you. Okay, there's a quick go around the houses. I hope that helped. And remember too, whenever I lead groups, I always say, when we're sharing whatever's offered, it is all for us. So each one of those houses I went through, even though it's more specific to the people I was talking to, which the specific house, in general, all of that is the flavor of this new moon, somewhere happening with all of us, right? Okay, so a couple other things about this new moon, though. This is all the joyful stuff I'm talking about. Sun, moon, and Venus conjunct. But we also have Saturn squaring these three. So we have Saturn at 18 degrees of Pisces. And so it brings the square. Wherever there's a square, it can feel like more stress, more tension, but it's a call to take action. And since it's Saturn, take responsibility, do things differently, set up some structures around the things that I was talking about, take the class, really decide you need a better foundation of how you communicate and how you're doing the things you're wanting to do. Saturn here in the picture, I think, is Gemini can be all over the place. Like when I'm doing these new moon or full moons, I feel this, how I am is what you're going to feel. Do you notice I was distracted? I'm all over the place. So many ideas. This is Gemini. I also have Sun conjunct Mercury in a 1 degree conjunction. So I'm very much like this in general. It's squirrel, this is what we will be feeling together. So the Saturn square is grounding. It's like, Saturn is called the taskmaster. So it's like, hold on now. What do you need to do? It's like, I always think of it as, it's another way, like grandfather or grandmother. Hold on now. You're going too fast. Slow down. What's your plan? What are you doing? Take responsibility. And Gemini just wants to go and like, I've got an idea. I'm going to run with it. I'm not going to even test it out. I'm going to go. So I think this is actually a good aspect. And we had another aspect. What is it? Let me see here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Pluto and Gemini. Pluto and Jupiter and Gemini. Pluto and Aquarius and Jupiter and Gemini are in trine. So remember I was saying earlier, Jupiter expands everything. And Pluto is, wants to deconstruct things that aren't serving soul or higher potential, wants to transform, transmute for the highest good. So that, we can weave that into our love stories. Where are we having aspects of ourselves in shadow that need to be expanded, to be seen, so we can identify and say, I see that now. I'm aware of that now. And remember, that's how we change. It's awareness before change. You must be aware of what's not working. And sometimes, and with this Pluto Jupiter, it can be really shown in a way you can't miss it. It's going to be big. You may feel some shame around it. You may feel some regret around it. You may feel the deep wounds connected there. But it is like, okay, it's like God is saying, I'm showing you this to heal this. Remember, usually with full moons, we think of what's revealed to be healed. But with this aspect in this new moon, there may be some of that. Continually, each story, as we're going from season to season, we just got out of, Taurus season, now in Gemini season. So in Taurus season, we were grounding and growing seeds of possibilities that are connected to what we value, what we desire. Now Gemini is taking what we've grounded and creating ideas to grow, to change, to come up with a new plan, that is, we can be adaptable and fluid with. And this is the time to do that in all relationships, in intimate relationships, in relationships with your body, in a relationship with your body, with your money, with family, with siblings in particular, because Gemini is connected to siblings. How can you do it differently? And also the thing that Gemini offers too is kind of a non-attachment. It's not as emotional and weighed down with, the past or a lot of intense, heavy feelings. It's more like, I never associate Gemini with the butterfly, but that's what I keep seeing. This butterfly flitting around, right? But like, it wants to be light and free and not too heavy. And so we're going to maybe move beyond the heavy wounds and the emotional heaviness of whatever we've been growing through, and lighten up a little bit to see a playful solution to what has bogged you down, so that you can grow more of your potential, so you can stimulate your curiosity with, what are we going to do about this? And this is a time to really hold questions on your heart. Or when you go into meditation, go in and say, okay, so what do you want me to know? Or do some stream of consciousness journaling. Ask your question. What's the issue? What do I need to know about this? Or what changes do I need to make in this area of my life? And just let your hand move across the paper and let your truth unfold. Okay. And here's the last thing I want to say before I wrap up. There's so much. I think about Gemini is like into the details, right? And we can be so mired in the details that we miss the bigger picture. And when we're mired in the small details, we can feel overwhelmed, and then we can get into fear. And it is a time to question what you really believe. Gemini is connected to facts, but where the lines get blurred is when facts are merged with our personal biases, our own beliefs. And so then that becomes fear. False evidence appearing real. And this limiting perspective, we get really, really stuck in a way of viewing ourselves, our loved ones, and the world we share. And we get really stuck in the limited view we hold, and we're missing the bigger picture. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling in fear, think about that. Where am I holding false evidence that's appearing real? This is where we take curiosity. This is where we take the energy of Gemini and start doing research, fact checking. questioning, why do I believe what I believe? Why do I believe that? Who told me that was true? And facts help us, move out of the shrouded, limited view of our biased, perspective, into more expanded view, more expanded possibilities. And I always say this too. I say we're either in fear or faith, which I got from the Course of Miracles. It's not mine originally, but you're either being shut down in fear or expanded in faith. That's your choice. Which F word are you going to use? Okay, that's it for me. Thank you so much. I hope there was something helpful here. Please do comment as much as you want. You're unlimited here. Be chatty in the comments. What did you take away? What was helpful? What do you want to add to this conversation about the new moon in Gemini? All right, thank you so much for being with me, and I'll see you next time. Take good care of you and your beautiful soul potential. Until then, okay, bye-bye.